But what about the environment?
Welcome to Colonize the Ocean podcast, where we discuss oceanic colonization, exploration, and education with your hosts Adam Jewell and Brendon Traxler.
So, as I'm on this several week course here or topic discussing AI slash underwater data centers, etc., that whole thing, one of the questions that comes up, regardless if we're talking about data centers or anything, but we're kind of talking about underwater, is one of the questions that repeatedly comes up is the environment. Of all, that's not the only negative commentary we ever get is, hey, we already ruined land, let's not ruin the ocean, or don't, disturb the environment and stuff along those lines. It's a valid question, it's a valid concern, and even more so when you start looking at data centers, which the whole idea, one of the main ideas is the cooling factor. So you're going to be taking cooler seawater and pumping it in, and then it's obviously going to have warmer water coming out that has cooled that. So what does that do to the surrounding area? Are you warming that water around there? And as you start sticking more and more down, what's it going to do to the surrounding waters? Fortunately, because Microsoft has done some testing in this, we have a decent response to that, and that it doesn't really affect anything at all. Obviously, that's not the only thing we're going to talk about here, but when we start talking about what it does to the surrounding waters, is that there has been shown minimal change to the water temperature, and once again, it's not very long because you've constantly got water flowing, so it's going to warm for a section and then just disperse within the surrounding water. So now, the concern obviously is when you start getting hundreds of these, they'd all have to be in one. They'd have to be close to each other, because if they're spread across the ocean, the ocean's going to have no problem absorbing that slight change. Now, if you put them all in one area, that might be cause for concern. And once again, there'd be a case test that have to be done on that before anything permanent was done. But when it comes to water change, temperature change, it's not really too much of a concern by any stretch, by anybody's measures. But the other concern is what it does to the land, and then therefore the marine life and everything around it. And very similar to what we've talked about with manned underwater habitats that were proposed and we're working towards, is that yes, whenever you introduce anything into a foreign environment that's not supposed to be there, there's disruption. And so how do you handle that? And I think that you have to plan accordingly, and it'd just be like on land when you go build a new building out there and you have to tear down a bunch of trees. What do? Well, a lot of businesses will replant that many trees somewhere else, or even more than that, to offset what kind of damage they've done. Similarly, that we would do something similar to that. Whether it is coral restoration, coral actually growing on and around the habitats, especially if there's people inside, you're going to want that. But as we're talking about data centers, you can allow some of that growth onto the habitats, since there isn't, in most cases, not going to be people there looking out windows and stuff. It gives you much more square footage that get covered by marine life. So you are, in a sense, becoming your own marine sanctuary. So it's a twofold purpose. Not only are you helping mankind, but you're helping the marine life as well. So you have to take those type of things into consideration, and that's why it's important that when you're doing something like this, you surround yourself with people that know, marine biologists, marine scientists, and you consult them so that you are making a well-educated and a proper approach to this. We always want to err on the side of caution when doing this. Our intention, even though our goal is, to open the oceans up to mankind, that's because we love the ocean and we want everybody to experience that. And so whether it is data centers or whether it is people, the pristine oceans is what we want to keep. And we want to make sure that man appreciates those, even if we are using them for the purposes of data centers or other things that man has, even they're seeing or living in or whatever. It is important that we give back to that environment anything we take from it, and twofold. And so that is one of the tenets of ASC, is that we will disrupt the marine environment a little bit at first, as minimal as we possibly can. But what we leave behind will be a legacy, but also a marine sanctuary. So, since I did leave a question last week, I don't know if I did it the week before either, but I didn't really feel like it was right to leave one last week with what I was talking about. But what concerns do you have as we look at underwater data centers, and what would you, and how would you, two questions, I guess, this week, and how would you go about restoring the marine environment around your underwater habitat?